So Andy Hosgood and I are running our first ever business clinic, and it's being held at our office in central Manchester on Friday the 21st of February. We'll be going through common challenges, common goals, and really helping people who want to grow and develop into this industry. There is so much potential in the industry, and it's all about collaboration over competition. So we want business owners, people that are looking to do things in this area, to come along, share your ideas, be open, be authentic, and we will go through everything there and really help us on the mission to drive things forward. So 21st of February, we hope to see you there. So today's session on leading the field is with Andy Hosgood, and the title being Collaboration over Competition. I'm always about positivity. How do we come together and really raise the standard and the value in the industry? There is so much potential in the healthcare and MSK industry, and the fact that we come together on things is going to make a huge difference. So with Andy, we talked about what it's like running a business, the different components of coaching, and many other topics. So check it out and let me know what you think. And don't forget, like and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you there. Andy, how are you doing?
Hi, Anne. How are you?
So today we're going to be talking about something which you and I talk about a lot, which I think I'm going to give you full credit for the coining the phrase collaboration over competition.
Okay.
So what do you mean by that when you said it?
So for me, we have an industry full of people that have got good stuff, but also there seems to be a real fear within the industry to share our knowledge around business. For this fear of, well, if I do it, you might copy it. So this competition style thing, which is quite unique in our industry. You know, I was still resonate from when I'm still young, but a younger version of myself and starting out in business, that people local to me wouldn't talk to me because we were seen as competition. And I found quite interesting. And I think certainly as I've matured, shall we say, I've always been very open to sharing what we've done. And I feel as an industry, we can change that. And I think as an industry, we can be more supporters of other business owners in the industry. And I think we've seen that a lot, especially post-pandemic. I know we're still talking about the pandemic, but I think it did change an awful lot. And I think that people were more willing to help and support each other. So we've just had these conversations about, well, how do we facilitate like-minded business owners to come together in a safer environment where they can collaborate and they can share what is good for them, rather than sit in a room of business owners and going, oh, you're my competition because you're in the same city of 2 million people as me. Do you know, there's a very different mindset and a real different outlook. So that's kind of where we came to with that idea.
Where do you think that because I've certainly been to those events where there's just, you go into it and it doesn't feel like there's a positive energy maybe for it. Where do you think that comes from for people?
Honestly, I think it comes, if we talk about the physiotherapy profession, probably in general, I think it's less in other therapists, the sports therapists and sports rehabilitators. I think it comes from a bit of insecurity. And I think there's still an awful lot of that within the industry. And I think that then moves into business. I think it comes from self. And especially from my experience within the industry, you know, there's still a lot of young physios who are afraid to stand up and say, I need help and support, for the way they could be judged by their seniors, let's put it that way. And I think then what happens is that mindset comes into the business. It moves into the business world of, I'm in business now and I'm a bit afraid to kind of put my hand up or tell people what I'm doing for maybe being judged or going, oh, someone might copy what I'm doing. And I think, so that's where I think it comes from. I think it's a long-standing kind of insecurity that a lot of people probably have got, knowingly or not knowingly. And I'm not saying everyone's consciously aware of their decision making, I think, and but certainly for me that seems to be a thing. And it was actually something that was raised to me when we were playing around with this idea. I was posting out to some people, in the industry that I trust a lot, and I was saying, "Oh, looking to do this. What do you think?" "Oh, yeah, I think that's brilliant." "What are you going to do about two people from the same area will come together?" And my response was probably sitting next to each other so they can work out the differences rather than sitting on opposite ends of the table. And so, and I think that for me is kind of it. Is what a lot of people think, and I think we can change that, and I think we've also got a lot to offer. My analogy of this is, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when Coca-Cola and Pepsi were having their big debates, they actually put their what they called, where you buy your drinks from, your little vending machines. They put them next to each other, so one had a Coca-Cola and one was Pepsi. You always see a Starbucks and a Costa very close to each other. You always see a McDonald's and a KFC. Here we are, describing the healthcare industry with the most unhealthy examples ever.
Making me hungry.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that competition is good. It takes the industry forward. And one of the things that we align with and we're both passionate about is that we are generally trying our best to help move the industry forward. And I think that comes from breaking down boundaries, and I think being fear that what you do, you share with the person down the road might copy, I think is outdated. I think most of the information that we've got is all out there now. There's no real hidden secrets of business. Both me and you spend our whole lives in self-development and learning, and I think we can both say that anything that is out there, and I think it's important if we are passionate and people that want to join us on this little bit of a mission are passionate, that it's being comfortable just going, right, okay, this is what I do, this is what I believe, and sharing it with others. One, to kind of get some confirmation bias of what we're doing is correct, but also in a safe environment to be challenged to go, well, do we believe there's a better way of doing that? And I think, together, if we do that and we can create a community that want to do that together, then I think the whole industry will improve as a whole. I think it will drive us all up. It'll make us all better. And for some of us, it'll make us more confident, efficient, and competent business owners.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's like the competition. That word you can look at it in two ways: as competition, or that's kind of a bad competition where it does instill fear and it's all, what are they doing? Or there is that healthy competition is actually, that's good, isn't it? It pushes us all forward. It's challenge, and we all should be challenging ourselves all the time. Really, in my opinion, how are we improving? You've run your clinics for ages now, and you're really good at business coaching. I've worked with you, and you're really good at doing it, and you work with other people outside of this industry. How do you see? How does this industry of healthcare, physio, this compare to non people outside of that area from a business perspective and their perceptions of competition and like fear or insecurity?
I think it's that. I think it's across all industry. Certainly, I think our industry. I think the size of businesses is different in our industry, and probably the frequency of them, especially in the world that the industries that I work outside are a lot. Most therapy businesses, I think, fair to say, are in business terminology, are kind of like small and micro businesses. Really, a lot of the other industries I'm in, the average business is turning over quite a few million, so they're not on every corner. But again, competition is something that we look at, but especially from the industries that I work in, it's something we look at, as in being aware of, but not something we worry about. Whereas I think because we are a little bit more personable and a little bit more kind of frequent, so there's a lot more of the littler businesses. I think we are more aware of the competition, and for me, business owners in this industry do seem to become more concerned about what the person down the road is doing rather than other industries. And I'm always curious about how helpful that is. You know, my standard line to the clients that I work with going, it's good to be aware of what they're doing, but if we're spending a lot of time focused on them, we're spending less time focusing on us. And I think, you know, if you spend an hour going down the rabbit hole, of which we all can do on the internet and on Google, to kind of look at going, okay, well, who have I got and what they're doing? You know, if we're using that for positive reasons, to go, okay, so we know what their USP is, that's great, or we know what their USP is. How do we differentiate between that so that potential customers and clients understand the narrative of how we're different? And you using that as a way to then promote yourselves in that way, and that can be really, really positive. If you're looking at that and you're looking at them and going, oh my God, they're doing that, or they've got that, oh my God, that makes me less good. And how is that helpful? You know, so I think it's how we use that word competition. You mentioned before, you know, that we can be fearful of that. And then my curiosity is of why would we be fearful of competition? You know, a lot of the time, you know, we can use what other people are doing to model as well. You know, we can say, well, that's really good. How do we implicate it and do it in a way of things? So I think it is just a different way of looking at competition. But to come back to your question, I think every business owner is curious about it. Depending on the individual business owner is how much they focus it and how much they worry about it.
Yeah, so it's interesting because a lot of these businesses, they're so small, say, and it becomes a little bit more personal then, doesn't it? Because it's like they're trying
100%.
to protect their livelihood. It's they take it very, very personally. Which is understandable as well. We're all people, and you can understand.
100%. Yeah.
So how do you address that if someone comes to you and says, right, yeah, I'm looking at doing X, Y, or Z? How would you address it if someone says, oh, we've got a number of different clinics around here? Like, what's like a normal question that you get asked? I know you love to ask your own questions, but how do you address it?
Aside, isn't it? Yeah. How to address it if somebody comes in and they're worried about competition?
Yeah, or they say they want to engage with you. Like, what would be something that they would typically might say to you as to why they're wanting to speak to you about supporting them with their business?
Why a potential business owner might come to me?
Yeah.
Majority of the business owners that come to me they're at a sticking point. So there's a point in there for whatever reason, and that's very individual to the business owner, and that's why kind of my approach is very multifaceted. Normally it's the business owner stuck rather than the business is stuck, and that's something that took me a little bit of a while. I'll be honest. You know, I've been in this industry and doing consultancy for a long time now, and you know, we spent a lot of time analysing the business needs first, and actually one of the biggest things and our biggest success is we actually put the business second and we put the business owner first. And we look at what's going on with the business owner to why the business is stuck. And actually, when we look at that approach, it helps us kind of view the business very differently. I think one of the things that a lot of business owners often do is identify themselves as the business. And I think especially in the therapy world, you know, there's many of us, and me included, set up with a little room in a gym or a treatment table. And kind of I was the brand, and I think a lot of businesses still are named after themselves, the therapist, which is no right or wrong, but it becomes your identity. So then if the business performance creates the identity of how you are, so if the business is doing well, you feel like you're doing well, or the business isn't doing well, you feel like you're not doing well. Well, actually, the business it's a name, it's a piece of paper, it's a set of accounts. It's whereas you as a living, breathing, feeling, emotional thing is very different. So partly one of the things that we come is, and that's probably one of the biggest things that people are, is the identity of their business performance, is creating the identity of who they are. And that's a really powerful thing if we can disassociate the business owner from the business. And we can become a lot more pragmatic around the business, and we can make a lot more better decisions around the business, because then it's not, if there's a competition around the corner doing well, it's okay, the business is in competition, but the business owners might not be. They just happen to be two individuals that are doing the best on their own dream thing. So that's the big. So often people come to me because they can't identify between the two, and there's something that they're feeling. They're either can be overwhelmed or they're a bit stuck, and that's obviously where the unlock piece comes in. Because often, everyone's got great potential, I think, and that's a great thing with human beings, isn't it? And I think with healthcare professionals is, we've got multiple of skills that we just not always made aware of how we can use those to our full advantage for whatever reason. And that's where a lot of the coaching work that I do I'm very well known for my curiosity questions of trying to understand what it is that is blocking them from moving on, and then what do they believe they need to do to move forward in a very structured way. And we've got a very structured format that we work with people, but it's, and I think the other thing that people find comfortable and familiar with my work is it's all set at their pace. It's all set at their pace, it's all set at their intensity, and that's an agreement of going, okay, so what do we think we need to do by when? And we find that really, really helpful, and hopefully by unlocking the potential in the business owner and them getting to see the world in a slightly different remit, that then allows them to see the business in a different way, and they're often more productive and effective because the decision making is less emotional as well. Does that make sense?
No, it definitely does. It definitely does, because it is an emotive thing. I've gone through the whiteboard with you, and it's challenging. It's hard, isn't it? Because if you're stuck, your frame of mind may not be in the best possible place because you're stressed with it. You're thinking about it. You're thinking about, right, am I letting the team down, the business? Like you say, I think your approach is really good because it does focus on the owner, which ultimately is where it's all stemmed from. And if the owner isn't happy, it's unlikely that the business is going to be thriving, and therefore the team. So I think I like the approach of doing it, not just because I'm a business owner, but I think it also does make sense as well. Like, how clear, when you engage with people, how clear on their vision and what does good look like to them? Like you said, if they're doing well, how clear are these people when they come to you as to what good looks like or success is for them?
Yeah, completely dependent on the person, and that's the great thing of, I guess, the job that I've done for 20 odd years as a healthcare professional is everyone's different and everyone views the world different, everyone sees different, people view success differently, and this is the conversation we've had many times, is success is so individual. Some see just getting to the end of the month and being able to pay all the bills as a success. Some see that as just getting to the end of the month and just being able to pay the bills but not being able to invest in stuff as a failure. And everyone, again, we can't make the assumption just because someone has set up a healthcare business that they actually want to have a multi-site practice business and be able to drive a fancy car, or some people are generally getting it. This is a lifestyle choice, and that's cool, isn't it? Because that's what they're choosing to do, and that's the business that they want, and there's no problem with that. But there's a judgment, isn't it, of going, well, I don't really want a fancy business, so why do I need help and support? Well, because you can still be overwhelmed, and you can still, is there a way that you can improve upon things or become more efficient? Whereas some people are a lot more ambitious, but then that can create more problems, can't it? Because if you're ambitious and you want this I want 5 clinics in 3 years, for example, which is a common vision. Okay, how are you going to get there? What's the investment that you're prepared to do? Where do you sit with you're comfortable with risk? Where do you think comfortable with educating and developing people? Because that's the other development, isn't it? You've also got to be able to be. It's not always about setting this big vision, but it's okay. So what does it mean? What does it look like to get there? I think not always do people take the time to analyse that, and I think they're the uncomfortable questions that sometimes we have to ask. Of going, that's great, What's your plan to get there? What's the options of what you think it's going to look like to get there? And that's sometimes where people are stuck, or it's the feel of the unknown, or they might have a plan already, but they just need that reassurance of how to get there, or there's the unfamiliarity of going, well, how do I build a team? How do I coach a team? How do I develop a team? Because they're all skills that some people have never done, or they may have done it in small proportions, or they might have the skills, they've done it in different ways of life, but how we then help them, encourage them and support them on that journey is normally what, to give them. I always use this analogy, and it's a really cheesy one, so I apologise, but I like it, so I'm going to use it. It's, instead of telling people what to do, the analogy of giving people fish, my job is to help them understand the principles of human development. I'm a behavioural psychology geek. It's something so we give them the tools so they can go and fish for themselves. So the idea is that, once we've developed a business owner and work with a business owner and help coach them to unlock their potential and understand what's going on, they've got them skills now that they don't need me anymore. They can go on and develop people on their own accord. So it means that they can go into the world with confidence, and they're more likely then to achieve it. Does that make that?
No,
that
it
make
does.
sense?
No, for sure. Yeah, you're trying to develop and grow them, and it's helping them. Like, if you've got someone that wants to develop 5 practices or whatever it is, it's like you can't do everything yourself, and you need to get people that are able to move things forward.
Yeah.
In still aligned with your vision, your values, culture, all of these things. It's really important, but everyone will bring different things to it. Like, when I was reflecting recently, which is, I always talk about reflection as being really important, and then I realised I hadn't done it particularly well recently. So I was looking at a presentation I'd done from 18 months ago, and I was saying, right, last year, maybe a little bit disappointed with certain things that we did. And then I looked at a presentation that I'd done 18 months ago, where I'd actually achieved all the things that I said I didn't want to be doing. I'd got rid of them, and they'd been taken off me. And that was only possible by supporting my senior leadership team to be able to develop those. You think, actually, that's a massive step forward. And instantly my mindset went from being disappointed by the things to think, actually, I can see a real pathway to the growth that we want on those things.
Yeah.
And that's only possible by getting the people in, for one, that want to be coached and developed. But also for me, it's like, well, actually, I've that's a real achievement for me to be able to say, actually, I've passed on these things, and I really believe those things are probably being done better than even that I was doing it, for managing people, day-to-day operations of the company, managing more than 2 people, setting KPIs and monitoring KPIs. I didn't realise I really didn't like all of that stuff, of which now I'm not doing any of that. And it's a massive thing, but it only comes about from getting people who are able to do it.
But again, I think that's the other thing we've got to think as a business owner, and if you look at founders in the tech world, if not all this, the majority of the time when a business gets to a certain size, they turn around and go, actually, I'm not CEO. I'm not good at that bit of the business, or I'm a great visionary, but I might not be a great managing director or a great operations director or a great finance director, But again, because we are smaller businesses in the healthcare field, we feel like we've got to be able to do everything, and so therefore having the bravery to let go and go, and actually, I'm less good at this, but you're better at this. Maybe this becomes part of your task, and especially as you grow and develop. That's what we see a lot of business owners as, especially as they start to scale. It's the comfortableness to let parts of the business go, because and it's about learning to trust others. And unfortunately, that learning to trust others also has to come from the ability to be able to coach others to do it well. And that sits from where, our conversation of what does good look like? The assumption in, and I'm guilty of this, is everybody, and certainly at the start of my career, was I would go, right, so have you got your degree? Tick. Yep, you look clean, tick. No criminal record, tick. Right, I'll put you in clinic and you're going to do things as I want to do them because we've got a similar background. And then when people didn't do things similar, I was going, Why aren't you doing things the way I'm doing? Well, I believe this and I believe that. Without asking the questions about, what do we believe good is in a healthcare setting, in a treatment room setting, in a rehab setting, were we aligned or not aligned? And it was, especially at the start, I don't think I was asking those questions. And it's only now when you go, oh, okay, actually, there are so many different ways to do things. I need to explore and be curious about how people do things. But at the same time, as we recruit people and we develop people, and they might be from industry, out of industry. So again, one of the things that a lot of healthcare people do is they promote internal. So you've got a physio or, a healthcare professional that they go, right, they've been with me long enough. I'm gonna give them a senior management job, or I'm going to promote them to be team leader or, clinic manager or whatever, but without giving them the skills of going. So how do you coach and develop people? So all of a sudden they've been given this role where they're leading teams and managing teams, but because they've been doing the job 10 years, we're assuming they're going to be dead good at that. And actually, they're not. They're just mentoring people and giving people answers and becoming overwhelmed because everyone's coming to them going, well, I've got this patient, I've got that patient, that patient. So again, sometimes it's understanding the roles as we progress and develop, isn't it? It's like, what does your going very corporate, what does your roles and responsibilities chart or your organizational chart look like? And do the people that are going to go into the role, do they actually have the skills to do that role? Do they, if you're asking somebody to be a team leader, do they have the ability to coach people, to educate people, to bring that up? Or are they just very, very good clinicians? And I think they're very different. So again, partly my job is to just be asking those questions, and hopefully people that, when we are growing and developing, are thinking about, okay, so what is the skills that needs to happen to do that? And who's the right person to do that? And that's something in which I think you develop over time, but it's really, really important. And I think there's some of the mistakes that a lot of, business owners make. And also that ability to let go and trust going, right, actually, if I let them do this, do I have to micromanage them, or I'm comfortable with them making a decision? I think that, and we're all challenges of all small business owners worldwide. That's nothing, that's certainly nothing new. And I think lots are doing that, but it's having that ability to let go.
Yeah, I don't know, one of our favourite books, we've talked about it a lot, the E-Myth Revisited on it, and that talks about similar sort of thing, which you'll know the titles better than me, but roughly there's the technician, which will be the physio in this instance, then you've got the manager, and the visionary, entrepreneur. So you've got those three things, and you've got to be all of those if you're starting your business. You're all three of those things, but everyone is a technician, particularly in this, aren't they? Because they've all got the clinical background. And a lot of the time people also assume it's great to have your own business. You want to have your own business, you want to build it. Whereas everyone will know there's sometimes it's actually, so I sometimes think about, me, God, I was actually a really good employee, and that would have been really good for me. I don't think, there's no black or white.
Have you moved on from that now? Do you feel yourself a good
I'm not sure, it depends. Ask me in 10 minutes and we'll see. But there's no, you're not any one of those things, are you? Like, I don't think you're only one of those three things as being the entrepreneur. I think I could have been really happy as being an employee if the environment had been right wherever I was. I really enjoyed being employed, whereas I wanted to do different things to my old company. And having your own company also isn't always the answer for everyone, is it? Like, it's not. And I think sometimes people assume, oh yeah, if you run your own business, that is success. I definitely disagree with that. Not just because I employ people and I want them to stay. Is that again, it comes back to what is success to you on that.
100%, and I think that's a really important point, isn't it? That and it's interesting if we're sticking in the therapy world, it's almost like it's a progression, isn't it? You go and work for somebody for a few years, it's maybe the NHS, or you go into sport, or you go and work for another clinic, and then when you're ready, the final step and real success is you're going to set up on your own. And then you realise you're going, oh my gosh, this is where all that, because you have to play all of those roles. You have to be the technician. You have to, deal with that. And then you've got to go, right, well, actually, the accountants emailed me and I said I need to do all this. And then going, oh, God, I need to find some more customers for next week. And I've got to... So, you've got to be so multi... And it isn't for everybody. And I think, and unfortunately, I think the really sad thing is that, and especially, when I'm in an unfortunate position where, not everybody rings me up as saying, things are going well. I'm on 3 clinics. I want to get to 5. Help me. A lot of the time it's going, oh, I've grown really, really fast, or I've invested loads of money in this and things aren't going well. And actually things are going really poorly. How do we manage this? How do we manage the situation? I don't always get brought in when things are going well. I think the majority of the work I get brought in when things are going less well. Yeah, and success is interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes we are driven forward in our business by how other people view us to be successful, and this need to be, in the viewpoint of others. And I still find it very interesting. And I'll share a funny kind of story, and I think many people can resonate with it. I remember having a conversation about 10 years into business, and we'd grown too fast, done all that classic thing I was talking about not to do. I mean, a really tough, challenging part of the business. And I remember just having a conversation with my dad. He'll never watch this, so it's all right. But I don't know why you're doing it anyway. Why didn't you quit and get a real job? And at the time, I was earning more money than probably my dad had ever earned in a year. And there's somebody who, as a child growing up, you lean into your parents, don't you? Of going, oh, they're a pinnacle. I know you're close to your parents. So it's like, oh, you take advice from your parents and they've got to know what they're talking about. And why don't you quit? You're too stressed about this. What's the point of this? Go and get a proper job. And you're thinking, oh, wow, okay. So, and I think that's then the problem is, it's how you then take that advice, or the people around you. Do you then keep pursuing it because you want to prove other people around you wrong? Do you not want to admit to failure or admit to being stressful, because that then means that other people are going to give you similar advice, which is unhelpful to some people at that moment in time. So I think running a business, and that's the reality of it, that it's brilliant, isn't it, when things are going well? When you feel like every time you touch something it turns to gold, it's mint. There could be very rare occasions with that. Most of the time it's a lot of sweat, heartache and swearing in my case, to get things to look successful. And then we post the success stuff and everyone goes, oh, he's smashing it. They forget all that bit behind it, don't they? The element of all the stress of it. And sometimes not everybody wants that. And I think, and unfortunately, some people are diving in to this industry or into it because they feel like it is the progression. Whereas actually, but you could be, I've got business owners that have been in business 4, 5, 6 years and actually earning less money as a business owner than they were doing as an employee, because they're constantly firefighting and trying to progress and do things. So the cash flow isn't there to actually give them the same salary. So then you go, well, do you feel success because you've got your name above a door and you're, people go, oh my God, you've got all this and this is brilliant. How many staff have you got now? Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, have you got something? Oh, your premises look lovely, but actually deep down, you're not earning as much money as you earn your employees. Again, there's an element, isn't there, of what does that look like as an individual? And some people are dead comfortable with that because they've got, right, I can deal with the short-term pain because I know long-term it's going to pay dividends, and that's fantastic and that's great. Or some people that can add an awful lot of stress into their lives and actually make them really unproductive, which is actually quite sad and quite hard to listen to a lot of the time, where you have got business owners that are in a really quite an horrible place inside their heads, but then the problem is they've got to put this facade on. They've got to walk into the office and be dead try and be motivating all of the staff because they can't be honest with where they're at. And so it is a balancing act, isn't it? And I think coming back to this full thing of why we started this is, and I think this even more important, my collaboration is important, because I think, yeah, it's good to share good ideas around, okay, so how did you build culture? What advice did you do on culture? What did you do to try and do that marketing? Or, you know, how do you train your staff? Or, you know, how do you goal set with your staff, and how do you motivate them, and what incentives, and all those kind of conversations. But also, it's just nice to sit in a room with other businesses and go, how's your world? Actually, it's pretty tough. How's yours? It is pretty tough, isn't it? Just to feel that actually you're not the only one that's going through a tough time. And sometimes it's, well, how do you manage your stress? Well, I just take my lunch, and I never eat in the office anymore. I go for a walk, you know, or I go out for lunch, or I take an hour every day where I just, you know, go and pick my dog up and take it for a stroll. Oh God, that's a good idea. That, you know, almost getting other people to give you permission to go and take some time out or away, or, you know, for some people the actual answer is, why don't you go and have some counselling and have some proper, you know, good conversation, or, you know, even just sharing it. You know, for me, sometimes just getting people together and going, how do you feel? Really bad. How do you feel? Really bad. What are you going to do about it? Oh, what? I don't know. Well, you know, and just somebody just sometimes asking you those questions to make you think, to go, probably do need to do something about it, don't you? I would, because I think it's not good to be unhappy. And I think that's where, you know, this collaboration of business owners generally is useful. You know, it works in lots of industries. I know you spend a lot of time with other business owners out of the industry. I certainly do spend a lot of time with business owners of lots of different industries together, and they're the conversations. I mean, we have a lot of people that we work with in small businesses that we just all go out walking in the lakes, and it is just literally everyone just sharing how they feel about the world, and from a curious mindset of going, okay, so what, basically, all right, mate, so what are you going to do about it? You know, and I think that is, you know, if it's a safe space to challenge people's mindsets, it can be really, really powerful. And, you know, and that for me is probably more important than somebody going, oh God, I've got this new marketing strategy that we can implement on Monday morning. If you know that you've got people around you that, and you're part of a community, that you're all going through similar things, and you can feel open to talk about how you feel, and you can share those kind of things in a non-judgmental way, and you feel comfortable to go, well, I don't really know what to do. What's helping you? And you go, well, actually, I'm doing this. Oh God, that's a good idea. Or, you know, or someone asks you, just checking in with you, going, how was you walking at lunchtime? Going every day. You know, actually, it's really helping me. Brilliant. I think that's going to be really, really powerful. And I think then it gives you, you know, we all know, don't we, that when we're in a good state, actually we're loads more creative, and the ideas come to us better when we are, you know, we are unlocked. Another pun in there. You know, we are, you know, if we are blocked in our thinking because we are stressed or worried or concerned, or we get that kind of paralysis by analysis of where do we go, if we do feel in a better state, then we are more likely to make better decisions, which means that we probably are better with our staff. We probably do communicate and articulate better with our staff. We're probably more clear with our vision with our staff. We probably are more patient to sit down and coach them, rather than going, I'll give you a minute because you're stressed. So I think that's where the importance is, for me, is going to come from. If we can get a lot of business owners to be more comfortable in that environment, I generally think we're going to get a happier profession. You know, burnout's very massive in this profession, you know, and a lot, you know, there's been a lot of stuff. I know Joe Turner's done loads of stuff around it and had loads of conversations, and there's many others that are talking around burnout in this industry, you know, and I think that's not helpful, is it? You know, we're promoting healthcare and the biopsychosocial model of around mental health and healthcare, you know, and sometimes business owners put themselves last. So I think if we can change that, then long term we're changing the industry for good.
Yeah, no, I think you summarised a load of really good stuff there. And I think one of the things I think you're really good at is honesty with stuff, and it's you see a lot of things out there, like you said, people post stuff, and inevitably that is just what you naturally do. I'll post something and I say, oh yeah, you're flying with it, and it's got sometimes it's like, well, it doesn't feel like it in your head, but you post something good. It's like being at a club or clinic, and that they are good moments, but it's never a black or white, is it? You go through hours, minutes, days where you're up and down. It fluctuates, and that's in life, but certainly as a business owner. And I think you're really good at creating that authenticity and challenge and just honesty like that. That's what resonates with me about anything. Is you've got to be genuine. If you're not being yourself, you're going to be unhappy, and you're repressing yourself. Oh yeah, it's all great. Oh, it's amazing. It's like, well, if it's not, then inside you know what you feel like. Like I was bought the book Ikigai. I don't know if
Yeah,
you've read
I've
that
read
one.
it. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Steve Miller's reading it as well. So
Yeah.
the three of us. But it's like, so that basically is about, so four main things being exercise, diet. They're obviously important for what you're doing, but then it's authentic connections and purpose. And like those two come into what we're talking about of collaboration. And it's like being able to speak to people. As soon as I read that presentation, was like, actually, I've really progressed and shared that with other people. My mind went from being, God, that was a crap year, to being, that was a really good year. Literally in the space of 10 seconds reading that slide, hearing other people saying, yeah, I'm having a problem with that, or actually, and you hear them and think, sometimes it's like, God, they're in a lot worse position than I am, and it helps.
Yeah, 100%.
And even saying that and talking to them and saying, you've made me feel a lot better because what you're going through is hard. But having a genuine conversation, as long as it's delivered with warmth and a genuine intent for being helpful and connective, I think that's what's really important. And then that purpose piece as well is like, look, what you're trying to do, what is that success? Is it the fact that you're making less money than what you were before? But that's good because you can go and spend time with your family. You can have as many holidays as you want. You can, whatever, you may be doing minimal work, but you're earning less. And that's also that could be your success.
And I think that is the key with it, where success is, isn't it? It's so individual to the person of what is your values piece, and that's, it comes back to the authenticity.
I was struggling with
that. I wouldn't like to spell it. But I'm being comfortable with that. I'm really comfortable with the fact that, if the success is for me, is still the fact that I can take my daughter to school and pick her up, and I can spend, as much free time as I, especially before she becomes that age where she doesn't want to, and she probably might watch this. So that's what my work-life balance is about. It's about being that, and I'm comfortable with that, and I'm not ashamed of that. But I think this, some people, if you're not authentic because you're not happy or things aren't going well or you feel like you're not doing well, that's going to come across in how you act with others, either with your customers or your clients or your staff. Because we know that in rapport, it is about, if you're happy in yourself, if you're comfortable with yourself, you are going to present yourself in a different way. So if you're trying to manage teams or try and promote teams or trying to get yourself motivated to do stuff, but actually internally things aren't going the way you want to do it, or you're doing things that actually don't align with your values and beliefs, or that's going to come across in your behaviours. And I think that can then spiral problems, can't it? So I think it is, and that only comes from being comfortable, being authentic and being honest. And unfortunately it's creating those environments where people can, and I think that's the biggest challenge, isn't it? I think it's certainly the challenge. I'm very fortunate that I do lots of one-to-one work with people where people can be, it's a safe space where people can be dead honest. And you can almost see a level of relief on their face when they turn around and go, can't believe I've just said that out loud. And I was like, well, I'm curious. What was preventing you from saying it out loud? And it'll be that moment of going, I'm scared people are going to judge me. Okay, cool. And at that moment, I know I've got trust, and I think, and the relief, like you said, just being able to say things out loud of how people feel. can be really, really powerful, but it's great. Okay, so we've moved past that now. So now what are you going to do? What actions are you going to take now you've just identified who you are? And hopefully that's what we can create through collaboration. Is creating these spaces where people can be honest and transparent, so they can become whatever level of success they want to become.
Yeah, no, I think simplicity, that's essentially what it is, isn't it? It's that when you actually break it down, it's such a simple thing to do, and yet it's definitely hard. Everyone's got an ego to some extent, and even though I fully believe in this, you'll feel like you're being judged. You want to achieve certain things, whatever it may be. But I think just having more conversations with people, being genuine, being honest, opening up, doesn't mean you need to share absolutely everything, but just sharing things. It just helps build.
Yeah, there's a
confidence.
Context of sharing, isn't there?
Yeah. But I just think it really makes a massive difference, and it's like I'm a part of Vistage, which is like a business coaching group, and I found it hard to begin with. But you build your confidence in sharing and knowing that you've got like-minded people that they're not judging, they're actually there from a level of concern and support and wanting to help you. And sometimes just having an external person, your problems are very different in your own head than when you say it to someone else, and you're really good at doing that. But okay, yeah, that's normal. And it's just like, oh shit, is that normal? Yeah.
And I think it's interesting what you say there, isn't it? Because there is a familiarity, and I think we're very comfortable now, being honest. Can we always say we've always been that way? Probably not. And it's probably something that's taken us time and effort, maybe a sneaky bit of pain to go through to get to that level where we can be, where we can be honest and we can be transparent with who we are. And I think, but we've all got to start somewhere with that, haven't we? And I think, and that doesn't always come easy. And I think, I agree with you. I think even going into a new room sometimes, it's people. I was presenting recently, and someone came up to me and went, "You've got all your ducks in a row, haven't you?" What do you mean? When you just seem really aligned and really balanced and really where you're at. And I just laughed and went, I don't think anyone has. I don't think anyone's got everything. We haven't got all of our stuff together. I think I'm comfortable with who I am, but I think no one's got all of their stuff together. And I think that's important to understand, that, there's certainly nobody that is perfect. We're all working progresses, and we're all at different levels of our journey within working progresses. And certainly, but I think your point, I think sometimes stuff that we've got going on in our heads, either our ego is, we're killing life and we're smashing life and we're going to go and pick your Aston Martin, or, I just hope I can pay my water bill. Wherever we are, sometimes actually when you say it out loud to somebody else, you see their reaction and you actually hear the words that you're saying and the reaction of others can actually change your opinion of yourself very, very fast, can't you? Because you actually, when you say things out loud, you go, this sounded a lot better in my head, or actually this sounded worse in my head, and they're environments that I think are really, really powerful. And that's why a lot of successful people have performance coaches or stuff, just to get their heads right. I think it's a reason why, you see some of the best players in the sport and the world have mental coaches, because again, it's just helping them just fine tune, or just being able to say things out loud in a safe environment with people. I once met a client, and his job was simply to work with the top senior leadership team of the Swiss bank. That was his job. He had 5 people to deal with. He says, my job is to make sure that every single day that they feel optimal to perform to their best every single day. That's it. was like, what a cool job that is. The fact that he's paid about 3 million quid
Yeah,
a
no,
year to do it as well was pretty cool as well.
Good returns on that.
But again, you know, we as humans, we're constantly, you know, we talk around there. You know, physically, I think as healthcare professionals, we know we should stay fit. I think as healthcare professionals, we have this thing of going, well, we need to eat well and, you know, try and, you know, move more, diet good. But then also what goes on in our heads. I think sometimes that's where our greatest superpowers are, aren't we? If we can just align our thoughts, we can sometimes get giddy behind a vision. You know, okay, what could the world look like if we get, you know, we feel optimistic about the world? What could that look like? You know, so that gives people the enthusiasm. Or for some people, it's going, right, who are too giddy, it's going, okay, so how do we just rein the giddy in or put a better time frame on that bigger vision? I think can just help people be a bit more effective, and hopefully that's the plan of what we're trying to achieve, isn't it?
No, it is, and we'll come on to that bit in a second. But like what you said before, where you and I, we've known each other for, you know, well over 10 years now, from when we had our clinic and we'd worked together on those things. But I think as that's grown and developed, we've met people, and I think that's the power of collaboration and the importance of networking connections is that if you introduce me to someone, pretty much instantly I'm like, this person's going to, I'm going to like them, or whether you like them, but you're going to be able to relate to them in a way. And the more we do that, that effect just multiplies. And like Andrew McCauley, Steve Miller, Mike James, Dave Barrow, all these people, the more we do it, and we're only probably going to do it to people that we think actually are aligned, or, you know, they're positive, I guess, is what I would frame it as. So the more we do that, the better it's going to become for everyone, because instantly the trust is just going to be progressively getting bigger, where you're not as skeptical, because there's definitely so much skepticism in this world. I would say more so than a lot of them, particularly for us, like we're a sales company, and a lot of people would be very skeptical of, all right, what's he trying to sell to me here? Whereas genuinely, it's just about, I want to have interesting conversations with people. So the more we open up, the more we're honest, the more trust is built. So that's why I'm well excited about our project of getting people in the same room, or whatever it may be.
Well, we're all trying to sell something, aren't we?
Well, no, that is is true. Yeah,
you know, we're all, and that's the piece I think people forget is everything's a sales pitch, isn't it? You know, trying to get your daughter to school early enough so I can get the train to come is a pitch, isn't it? You know, everything is a pitch, but there's a stigma against having a pitch, isn't it? Of trying to, you know, getting someone to behave in a certain way, you know, and I think that is just. But alongside that it's just being comfortable that we all, you know, as long as everything that we try and do in our lives is in an ethical fashion with the right reasons. And one of the things that we've always aligned is that, you sell kit, and pretty good kit. The longest is my favourite piece that we. But behind that has always been this genuine kind of, how can we help you? I'm trying to support. This is what I'm looking to try and do. I'm generally interested about making, you know, healthcare businesses better. You know, through technology. That's always been an underdriving thing. You know, I've never had a conversation with you and you've turned around and gone, right, who do we think's got loads of money? Let's try and get, you know, that's never been a part of the way you are. There's this genuine part that you yourself and what the brand that you've created, and now the team you've created, because, you know, I've watched your team grow and develop over the years as well. You know, and everyone, and I'm very fortunate, I've got to spend quite a bit of time with your team. You know, you talk about authentic self. I think that's one of the things that I feel about everyone at your team, is they're on this real genuine, they are genuine with people, you know, even though, fundamentally you're a sales company. One of the things you do incredibly well is you go in, well, how do we help them make themselves better? If it's their business, if it's their treatment process, if it's their treatment journey, if it's how do we improve their rehab, how do we improve their data so they can improve their clients, all of the kit. that you've even brought in. It's about, okay, so how does this help, you know, a healthcare professional's business improve them, you know, improve their clients, improve their service, improve their return on investment. And that's where you come from. And that's where, you know, I've always found that we've aligned, is that, you know, our genuine, although we get to it in a different way, you know, I spend most people working on people's heads and having those conversations. You're coming it from kind of, you know, from that customer experience piece. That genuine mission of trying to improve the lives of healthcare professionals, I think, has always been there and all aligned. And I think, you know, for us, we align with those people, don't we? And that's what resonates with us, because, you know, I noticed, for me, what's interesting in people is that some of my closest friends I spend most time with, and I was always curious why I found them, when I realised they've all got kids and they're all what I would describe as good dads. And so it was funny that we had this resonated thing of where we just all found. Whereas in the healthcare industry, I find that, you know, people have got these really big values about how they treat patients and how they treat their staff and how they treat others around them. I go, yeah, 100%, you know, I resonate. And also one of the things you're very good at, and I think your company resonates that as well, it's all about the other people, isn't it? You know, it's all about others. And I think, you know, you're quite selfless. And I think all those people that you've even, you know, mentioned there are all selfless people, aren't they? You know, one of the things they're all interested in doing is improving others and getting the best out of others. And I think the more we create people like that, or more, like you've said, we collaborate with people like that, then it's just, you know, hopefully that reward is going to benefit forward in it for the next 15, 20 years of this industry. It's quite a cool industry to work in, isn't it?
No, it's definitely, it really is. And that's why I'm excited about this project. Selfishly on this is that we get these people in the room,
yeah,
and we can hear from them and like talk to people. What are the problems you're having? What are the challenges? So that I'm really excited about that. What are you most excited about the project? We'll put information on this in the comments below as well. But like, what are you most looking forward to for our first event?
What am I looking forward to? Really looking forward to watching people leave with some great solutions to their issues and their problems. I love that moment where, as we're closing, we get to see the transition or the transformation of people. You know, even in a day, it's amazing how people can see the world differently, or seeing those light bulb moments of someone asking a curiosity question, and then we go, oh yeah, I didn't see the world like that, and just automatically seeing a different viewpoint of the world. I love them, and that will the bit for me. There will be the ones, because I think they're the bits that stick with people on a really long basis. You know, you learn a new sales funnel process, brilliant, boom, I know how to do stuff. You get one light bulb moment, that can change how you view your whole business, or how you view your team, or how you view culture, and make a massive more impact. So I would say that's the one thing for me. Just watching people's little light bulbs and little changes of viewpoints will be awesome for me.
Brilliant.
How about you?
Yeah, I think it's getting people in that room, and one of the best things when I go to events, the event itself is whether the talks, they're useful clinical talks, it's just getting people having conversations. Mm-hmm. That's what I enjoy. And it's to some extent the same thing in terms of the light bulbs, but it's just people talking and thinking, yeah, God, actually, I've had that. I could take that away. And just little things that you come out with. If you come out with one or two things that you think, I'm going to try that, that's what I love when I go to anything, is like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. Books, I love talking to you about books. It's like, oh, I want to read that book. I'd be like, brilliant, that was really good. Or just little things that you come away with that you think, yes, that is, I could implement that. I'm going to take that on, because that continuous growth, and anyone that comes to this, they're obviously interested in developing things anyway and growing. And that's what I enjoy, is having people that have got that shared energy to it, and they're really trying to push things forward. So it's, I'm very much looking forward to it. Last question, 30 seconds. What's the importance of collaboration over competition? Go.
Oh, wow. Importance of collaboration over competition. Proper stung me there, haven't you? I think the importance of collaboration is the fact that I think we're stronger together. I think if we see people as competition, it can create divide and it can create insecurity and it can create fear. I think if we're collaborative together, we break down barriers of fear, it creates a better mindset for you as a business owner and makes you more creative and more productive long term.
Love it. Nailed it. Andy, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And I look forward to our project.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers.